Hello and welcome everyone. Super excited to bring to you this webinar with Jobin from Google. We're going to talk about how do we scale data integration to and from Google BigQuery with Nexla. My name is Avinash. I'm co-founder CTO at Nexla. Nexla is an enterprise-grade data integration platform that brings about automation and collaboration into the data engineering process so that data can be ready to use for AI, analytics, and operations. We pride ourselves to be a converged data integration platform by inventing this concept of virtual data products. These virtual data products facilitate no code, low code consumptions in use cases around operations, analytics, and of course, AI.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Jobin George. I'm a staff solutions architect, part of the data analytics partnership team here at Google. I work with partners like Nexla and build joint solutions to help our customers like yourself. Excited to be here and looking forward to this conversation. Today, I will be touching upon requirements of enterprise-grade integration solution around BigQuery and a little bit about how to do that. Before I dive deep, I wanted to give a primer on Google Cloud and how it is designed to help you deal with existing challenges by leveraging our technology, infrastructure, and expertise. Whether it is Google Cloud or many infrastructure as a component, as a service component within it, or our SaaS software as a service portfolio, which offers support to or more than like 9 billion active users in total, we ensure our customers have a choice of using each one of these offerings in a discrete fashion or in a seamless workflow that can enable many different use cases and solutions. We have a very large global network that is constantly evolving, and we serve over like what 25% of the world's internet data traffic. And as you can imagine, the network needs to be big and performant, but more importantly, secure to get towards that. We continue to expand our geographic footprint, capacity, and scale beyond what you see today. Using our customers' input and guidance, we ensure that we are ahead of the game by, providing the latest and greatest and catering towards each and every need that arises as we go. We have services and products which are designed for compute, storage, networking, data analytics, and AIML. If you take BigQuery, our flagship data warehousing offering, although it serves the primary use case of data analytics, it also acts as a foundation for AIML or even Gen AI use cases for our customers to have. Today, if you look at companies who make good use of their data, or for companies to make good use of our data, that is spread across disconnected sources, that has to be properly prepared, curated, and even joined together. For that, customers need a common ground to pump and prepare data for analytics. And it could be a data warehouse or it could be a data lake. Number of such related data related use cases within an organizations are increasing day by day. It would, if you look at it like many customers which I talk to these days, they have an additional list of like Gen AI or AI use cases which they didn't have like 6 or 8 months ago. There are two approaches to meet the demand of this increasing use case. First, by automation of the data fabric architecture by automatically generating system connectors and modeling the data, then scaling and running pipelines based off of that. Second is through collaboration, a unified way of looking at the data that is capable uh, of handling low code, no code, and UI based approach, as well as a full pro code capabilities for developers depending upon their preference and operational activities like having access to command line tools, APIs, or even further than that. Together, what we are doing is making much more stable platform for getting the data and making it usable for the users, irrespective of the technical capabilities at different levels. If you look at it like you have data engineers and data scientists who are tech savvy, but You may also want to cater towards the sales and marketing folks who are part of the organization as well. Now, let us look at how a typical data framework architecture would look like for our customers. There could be numerous legacy sources of data an organization would want to ingest data from. It could be data warehouse or database of their choice. For example, it could be into BigQuery or even into databases like Cloud SQL or AlloDB or even Cloud Spanner, depending upon their use cases within GCP. Uh, it would be production data coming from their online applications, which is facing end users into operational databases, or data being migrated from an on-premises legacy data warehouse into BigQuery, or even streaming data coming from, say, PubSub or Kafka or like IoT devices, so and so, or even from SaaS applications or CRM systems, marketing or sales systems, as well as like maybe customer data ported from different platforms. Once these data is in Google Cloud, it could be still spread across various services. It could be in warehouse, it could be in your blob storage, it could be in your object store, it could be in your databases, data warehouse. It just keeps on going. Um, if you look at it, like, there could be scenarios where you move the data from one location to another location, transform the data, or even like utilizing the data which is spread across, unifying it and making it available for your analytics, or even like AI and Gen AI workloads. There are like This is opening up a lot of possibilities for our customers. There could also be possibilities like reverse ETL or analytics use cases, like you're pushing the data back into Salesforce or Workato, or like any Marketo or any sort of solutions. Or it could even be using Tableau or Looker. You're trying to explore something within the data warehouse. Think of all of these scenarios in-house. A team is having. Think about 10 of such teams have similar requirements within an organizations within that organization. Things could get really hairy, really complex, and you need to manage ingress, transformation, moving the data around, and like use cases around it. It could get really messy to manage all of these things. And this is where a enterprise ready data integration solution such as, say, for example, Nexla plays a critical role. Without such solution, it would get really tricky to manage day-to-day operations within an organization's data realm, and it may not be easy to navigate that data journey. Now, let us double click and look at a few of the benefits using an enterprise-grade data integration solution. First, faster time to value, because you're able to connect to data and launch high value projects faster, and hence achieve your organizational goals really soon than you expected it to be. Next, maximize the value for your data in GCP, because you're able to fully utilize all of the offerings, including data analytics, AI, or storage, or anything beyond or even between it. Increased collaboration and access to the data in and around GCP for more users to utilize or understand or even collaborate with. Also, enterprise data integration solutions provide a flexible but robust way to flow data across the organization in real time, so businesses can automate the process, improve your efficiency, gain better insights, adapt to new technologies and business models, and etc. As a result, you will be able to improve your end customers' experience, customer service, better decision making insights, enabling and adopting new technologies really quickly, providing seamless experience for your internal and external customers or users, and so on and so on. Nexla is one of those standout partners that provides this robust and scalable solution around GCP for our mutual customers to utilize. With that, let me hand it over to Avinash for additional context on this from your perspective. Avinash, over to you.
Thanks, Robin. Let's quickly talk about, there is the Google world, there's the Google Cloud world out there, where we have these awesome services, a sub-second warehouse like a BigQuery. You have databases like Cloud SQL, AlloyDB, Spanner, streaming solutions like the PubSub, and Gen AI powered by Gemini. There is a world outside Google Cloud where there are more transactional systems. There are SaaS applications. Some customers have mainframes. Some customers have homegrown applications that are deployed, maybe part of GCP, maybe outside GCP. For all of the awesome features that Jobin talked about, for them to be useful, we need a way to get data in and out of Google Cloud. And Nexla provides that mechanics. Nexla provides a mechanism to do that without taxing your engineering resources. We can do this at scale. Uh, Robin talked about Google running all these services at planet scale. To really make use of that, you need your data to show up in those systems. And how do we make that happen? Uh, we do this via Nexla. In your classic world, you will have hundreds and thousands of systems that you want to pull data from. you will you might have to write connectors to all of these systems. This is where Nextla comes in through that automation aspect that Jobin was talking about earlier, where we have ability to automatically generate connectors. We can automatically model your data. And with 3 clicks, you can get your data into Google BigQuery. If you wanted super fast access and you wanted to use Spanner, the steps don't change at all. The steps to get data in remains exactly the same. You just point to the Spanner box and you are able to get data into Spanner. If you wanted to get streaming data from your IoT devices or a Kafka topic, you can get that very easily as well. Last but not the least, if you wanted to use Gemini to ask a question of your unstructured data, you still need a way to get the unstructured data in there. And that's where Nextla can really help to get that unstructured data into Gemini and then being able to ask that question of Gemini that, hey, what was the best review that I got for this particular product? You can ask those type of questions from Gemini very, very easily. And this is how the Nextla and the GCP story comes together. Google with all these awesome products, uh, BigQuery, AlloyDB, Spanner, PubSub, and then Nextla being that glue that enables to get data from all other parts of your enterprise into GCP, and then from GCP back into the enterprise. So things like where does Nextla make a big difference? We've seen our customers being able to onboard their data into GCP at, at 10x faster the speed. We are able to get multiple different integration styles into one platform. You don't need a separate ELT tool, a separate ETL tool, a separate reverse ETL tool, a separate IPaaS tool to use all these awesome products at Google with all the awesome data that you have scattered over rest of your organization. You can get all of them in one tool, which is Nextla. Uh, Nextla enables collaboration of people who understand data and people who understand data systems. One of the key reasons why data projects get delayed is because there is a lot of back and forth that happens between people who understand data and people who understand data systems. And using a collaborative platform like Nextla, you get both those teams working next to each other in the platform, enabling us to deliver faster value. It cannot skip Gen AI, data science, and ML in today's day and age. But a lot of Gen AI, a lot of data science, a lot of ML is all about getting data to the model and getting insights from the model back to an operational system. And Nextla can help in both of those aspects to be able to get data into the models and get insights out of the models into an operational system. The all of these things together with the ability to take data from your on-premise databases. So if you had an on-premise data warehouse and you wanted to use the benefits of a scalable platform like Google BigQuery, your your long pole there tends to be how do I get data in there? And that's where Nextla can help. So this ability of Nextla to converge all these integration styles to make data available for consumption in multiple different patterns, whether it's a warehouse or a spreadsheet or a chatbot being powered by Gemini. We are able to make all of those things happen. And that's what makes this partnership so great for our customers.
Right. That totally makes sense, Avinash. To that end, I would like to touch upon, one of those customer case study, uh, which is for one of our mutual customers, a Fortune 500 US retailer. I personally had the privilege to work very closely with them, along with Nexla. Um, customer had an on-prem data warehouse solution along with a legacy tool, which required an overhead to maintain, that doesn't scale well like BigQuery does, and needed custom code and dedicated developers time assigned to manage and operate this tool. When they decided to move to cloud, they chose BigQuery as their data warehouse solution on cloud. But then they were looking for a simpler tool that is required to replicate the data from any sources they have, or like the existing sources they have, into BigQuery. While moving that, they have to parse the data and then transform the data in a specific format. And then, the main requirement was that this tool is not only going to be used by the technically capable developers and engineers, but analysts and non-technical users, like sales or marketing, need access to that too. But more importantly, as you know, in the retail world, they would need the entire system, including this tool, to scale 3 to 5 times during the holiday peaks. Using Nexla, customers, engineers, and analysts were able to build all of the specific flows into BigQuery. Nexla passes any source into JSON format, regardless of the real-time streaming coming in or batch mode, enabling integration very quickly and seamlessly. From there, they were able to replicate to BigQuery without, coding custom solutions or connecting every system they needed as the data flows. As a result, the customer was able to replicate more than 1 trillion records into BigQuery initially, so that it can be unified with the data sent to downstream ERP, inventory, marketing system, etc., to keep their show running. Now, the customer can process unlimited records, into BigQuery data warehouse, with the added benefit of real-time streaming, and on top of it, with the help of Nexla. Um, Moving on, let us take a quick look at the reference architecture employed by the customer to support their use case. The data needed to be extracted from various sources, as you can see, which included legacy systems, databases, SaaS applications, and then transform it and load it into BigQuery for OLAP use cases, and reverse ETL back into some operational systems, analytical systems, as well as ERP platforms. So this is how, like, Nexla makes things very easily and simple for customers, which, like, we are always like looking for solutions that scale just like BigQuery does, when that should not be acting as a bottleneck for the customers to adopt new projects as they move forward. Now, let us take a look at the strategies, common patterns utilized by the customers for fulfilling enterprise scale integration needs. Uh, Almost all of the customers have the data, already residing in systems outside of Google Cloud. But at the end of the day, they'll have to bring it to Google Cloud for many use cases. Like, legacy systems would be there. There would be systems, they signed up for like years ago, which cannot go off until like another 2 years. But still, the data has to be moved into Google Cloud while they migrate off of them. But still, there are going to be platforms which are independent of this, running outside of the Google's realm. So those need to be, made available into a central location for customers to get the most benefit. Planning beforehand, choosing the right tool that have a rich feature set that is scalable and add value to overall effort really quickly, can be a change, game changer for the customers. Always look out for Google endorsed partner products that are already validated or supported, right? For example, partner like Nexla is already part of Google Cloud Ready initiatives for BigQuery, AlloDB, and Cloud SQL, which are actually a short list of partners who already work with Google and are validated. Next, the strategy to have the foresight to see all of the different data integration needs, and which you have now and what could come in the future with Google Cloud, that will have a specific set of requirements, for that matter of fact. As of as your company grows, the use cases grows too, and make sure your infrastructure and the setup along with the tools and integration tools of choice can accommodate and scale as you move forward. Make sure you plan for the architecture which can handle future enhancement at least up to 3 to 5 years, and then can repeat the cycle to plan further ahead. Lastly, collaboration. So all users have to may not have the same technical skills, but bringing technical users, business users, and others into one single area or one single tool, and then collaborate so that like business users can bring business contacts, technical users can bring their technical insights, and like, there are going to be uh, historical knowledge sitting in the head of like quite a few people. You can add them and then collaborate and make your projects related to data better and faster, and then that would move the needle for the entire company in terms of accelerating their business. Make sure you choose the tool which enable your internal team to collaborate, definitely, without having to create like silos. Like marketing team is looking at a specific data they are generating, sales team is looking at their data they are looking at, and then some other department will have their own data sets, and then nobody ever talks to each other. That is a recipe for disaster. So make sure you have that collaboration, which are like, these are the strategies employed by uh, companies which are moving to Google Cloud. With that, I will pass it over back to Avinash. Avinash, please take over.
Next, we'll talk about Gen AI. Uh, and we have seen a lot of tool demos for Gen AI. I think it's very easy to build a tool demo with Gen AI, but it's incredibly hard to take that demo to production. Some of you might have already found out that hey, it is really, and the complexity comes from two things. The first complexity comes from multiple complex workflows to orchestrate multiple models, multiple prompts, multiple different data flows. And then the second complexity comes from the predictability part of it, because the generative aspect of Gen AI, uh, if you ask the same question to the model 3 times, you might actually get 3 different answers. So you have this dual challenge of predictability and quality that comes about. While considering ways to build Gen AI applications, it's very important to understand the differences in cost, in tech requirements, and time to value. If you start building a model from scratch, uh, it's a very resource intensive option, and you're best leaving that off to guys at Jobin and at Google to build a model from scratch, because it would need huge amounts of tech expertise, and it might be a financially unviable option. uh, but it's also the option which gives you most customization. Second approach is model tuning. This thing sort of balances the customization and resource investment. It's definitely less costly, but still you need uh, uh, tech expertise to be able to do techniques like parameter efficient fine tuning, and the time to value for this type of stuff is still slower than uh, building a RAG model. Finally, retrieval augmentation generation, or RAG, it presents a sort of cost-effective and time-efficient solution. It's a quick way to add value, and it's relatively less tech lift. For some of you who are trying to whet their appetite into this Gen AI world, this might be the fastest way to get in there. Um, and Nexla helps you do these things even faster. You can potentially build a chatbot using Gemini on Nexla in less than 4 clicks. Uh, and we'll talk about how we can make that happen. The process of building a Gen AI application or a RAG application typically involves your data. It involves a large language model. It involves a vector database and an embedding model. And it's the interplay between these things, being able to generate embeddings of your data using an embedding algorithm, storing those embeddings into a vector database, being able to perform a semantic search on those embeddings, and then finally generating an answer using a Gemini. If you think about each of these steps are essentially data integration, uh, API calling, or putting these things together, or it's picking these Lego blocks together. And this is where a solution like Nexla really excels, because guess what? We have ability to get data from anywhere. We can generate embeddings of them. We can write it to any vector database, and then we can perform a search and send it over to a LLM to generate an answer for you. This, in fact, is a topic of a next webinar that we are going to do with Google, where we'll exclusively focus on Gen AI using Gemini and Nexla, which will be powered by Vertex AI within the Google ecosystem. So uh, definitely, if you're interested in this thing, please join the webinar, and it's going to be fun. Let's I'm going to take a quick detour and talk and do a quick Nextla demo of how we help customers who are trying to run uh, Google BigQuery, Spanner, PubSub, AlloyDB. How can they really hit the ground running very, very quickly? This is a screen where a user actually lands on in Nextla. This is a bird's eye view of what data flows you have built in the product, how many records have been flowing, are there any things that need attention? This is the screen where you land. Typically, a user's journey, and we have different user personas who come to Nexla. A user might come to Nexla with the intention of discovering what all data products does he have access to. That user typically comes on the Discover tab and has ability to search for data products, search for attributes where some of this information is contained, search for descriptions, and we can surface up the right data product. So if I wanted to surface of a data product which has people information, we can see some recommendations here. A user that wants to come and build data flows, for example, you want to get data from API into Google BigQuery, would come into this integrate tab, and that's where they will spend most of their time trying to build data flows to and from a Google system. The other important user that all of you guys know about is there's one part of building data pipelines and building integrations. There's another part of ensuring those integrations run every time they are called upon to run. And that aspect of the product, which is the monitoring aspect of the product, is highlighted in the monitor tab, where somebody can come in and look at what errors did I have yesterday, or what records did not pass through. How do I trace the lineage of that record? How do I triage a production issue that my business team raised? All of those things are surfaced up in the monitoring aspect of the product, and this tends to be a key usage area, because you build 10,000 pipelines, but these 10,000 pipelines run 10 times a day, uh, making it hundreds and millions of pipeline instances that are running. So you having a way to monitor them is super helpful. What I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to go to my integrate tab. I'm going to take a data flow. I'm going to build that end to end live and try to get data into Google BigQuery. And then I'm going to reverse ETL that same data from Google BigQuery into an operational system, and also show you mechanics of pulling and pushing data on the fly using APIs here. So very quickly, that journey typically starts on new data flow. Nexla has about 500 different systems that we can connect to. The key part of Nexla, as I was talking earlier, was our ability to generate new connectors on the fly. So give us any system, and you would see that a new connector can be generated in about 20 minutes on the platform. For this particular demo, I'm going to take a very simple example of an API that we have. And this is an API for which I don't have a connector. So I'm going to be able to build a connector on this on the fly. So I put in my credentials, click on those. Very quickly, once my credentials get validated here, I'll be able to go and click on the actual API and get my data out of it. Uh, on this screen, I'm going to configure a URL from which I'm going to be able to fetch the data. I hit test. What you would see is that I'm going to get sample response from this particular API. Once we get a sample response from the API, we'll be able to select what part of this API I really want to surface up. There is a scheduler built into this. This neatly integrates with Cloud Compose. If we have to integrate with Cloud Compose, all I really need to do is hit create. This process remains exactly the same no matter where you're trying to fetch data from. You can fetch data from uh, a database, a file system, a message queue, uh, the API. That process remains exactly the same on Nexla. What's happening at this point is Nexla is running its metadata intelligence to figure out what does this data product look like. I click on this. Once this loads, I see what all fields were part of that data product. Nextla is able to automatically classify that data. So I can see, oh, this thing looks like an email. This thing looks like an IP address. I have a credit card. Please don't go and try these credit card numbers. These are just generated. None of these will work. You have SSNs. They are again generated. Nextla's ability to identify PII data is all surfaced up here. What you can also do is you can use Gemini to generate documentation for this on the fly. So once I click on generate, I'm able to generate automatic documentation based on some sample data that I have. Once I have this data product, I can do a lot of fun stuff with it. I can take this data product and just transform few things in this data product. So when I click on email, Nextla recommends that hey, you should MD5 this particular email. If I wanted to if I select my first name and last name, Nextla would recommend me, hey, maybe it's a good idea to concatenate first name and last name. You can do other fun things in transformations. So if you wanted to take the IP address and convert it to country, you can. There are transformations to convert IP addresses to countries. You can do match, string, date operations very easily here. Other cool thing that you can do here is you can mask your data. So this is a function that I have written in Python, just 4 lines, and I'm going to say I actually want to mask my payment attribute here, and I just want to show my last 4 digits of my payment attribute here. You can say this is my last payment. So I'm able to do this type of stuff very easily on Nexla. I brought in my own code. I use some predefined functions here, and I can just say, this is what I really want to do. I want to just transform this data. This is the new data product that I have here. I'm going to take this new data product now and see how I can push this out to a Google BigQuery. The other key part of Nexla is our ability to have a completely symmetric system. We can read from everything. We can write to everything that we can read from. For this example, I'm going to write into Google BigQuery. I'm going to use my credentials that I have in here, and I'm going to just click on next. At this point, we'll surface up Google BigQuery's data sets. You click on this data set. I click on that data set and go to next. And I choose a table in which I want to write this data to. So I can say I want to create a new table, hit next. I want to say whether it's an insert or an upsert mode. They automatically map attributes. And this is all you really have to do to take any API and push that data out to Google BigQuery. So I can say this is my webinar test table, hit save. And this is all I really had to do to get data from. And this is how the data flow gets constructed. If now you have to send the same data out to a Google PubSub, it's very simple. I just say, I'm going to take the same data, push this out of Google PubSub. I can do that on the fly as well. Very quickly, this was a case where we actually landed data into Google BigQuery. I'm going to take a slightly different example now and take a table that I have in Google BigQuery and write that data out to a more operational system, to an operational system like a Salesforce. I'm going to take some people data and push that out into an opportunity object in Salesforce. So I have this thing created here. Very simply, what I'm trying to do here is I'm writing a very simple query here. The query is right here. I'm using Google BigQuery as a source. So I'm reading from Google BigQuery. from a table called people data, and I'm saying just give me something where region is equals to US. Nexla will surface up this data product. This data product shows up here, and it has this data. The data is limited to just US. I have the other cool thing about Nexla is it can also provide you an API to your data in a data warehouse like a BigQuery. So now I have I just click on this and I have generated an API to my data in Google BigQuery. As I change inputs, the API would return me responses based on that particular input. I can now take this data from Google BigQuery and write it to any API or any application out there. So if I wanted to go from here to, let's say, a very custom API that I have built in, so I'm going to just say send this data via REST API to a very simple echo endpoint that I have, and this is just an example API that I have here, and I can just send this out to echo endpoint, and this is all it takes me to build that process from getting the data from BigQuery and pushing it out to an API. We talked about this earlier, ability to generate APIs for any data that is within BigQuery. This is something that I have this data product. The API shows up automatically here. The other cool thing about this is I can load this data from this API in a spreadsheet context as well. We have this function called netset get data. It takes my region, which is here, and returns me data that's pertinent to that particular region. So I just change this to region equals to US. I'll be able to get data from US on the fly. So what I've done is I'm able to meet the user where the user is. My user always lives in the spreadsheet, but now they are able to query using Nexla to a data warehouse that is within Google Cloud. One last thing, just to tease the AI part of this, is I'll quickly show the Nextla chatbot, which is getting powered by Gemini. It's it's the exact same flow. I have some review data in my net set. What I'm coming here is I'm asking a question from my review data. Give me the most negative review, and I'm using Gemini to generate this answer. I'm using Gemini 1.5 Pro, and I ask the question, "What's the most negative review?" It immediately gives me that response, and it gives me an attribution to what record resulted in this particular answer to be given. So you're able to complete that whole flow of ask the question, get the answer, and know why that answer was given. This is one of the key challenges that a lot of people are trying to solve within their GenAI ecosystem. How Nextla is able to do this is we're able to get your data from any of those 500,000 systems that we have connected us to. We're able to vectorize that, and then we are able to use multiple different AI models to get you the right answer. With that, I am going to stop sharing. And if there are any questions that you guys have, please feel free to type them. And I and Jobin are going to take a few out of them. Jobin, I have a question coming your way. Uh, the question says, where do teams usually fail in strategizing their data stack around Google Cloud?
Uh, uh, Good question. It's like almost so like when you start the journey, right? It's all about it's all about like proper planning, like I mentioned. There could be you could be a customer who is starting as a brand new on GCP, where there could be like opportunities of like migrating data from existing systems into Google Cloud or moving to cloud. If you don't plan properly, that is like an easy way to do the doing wrong things when you are migrating. That would be a recipe for failure. Uh, the second, if you look at it, like there are multiple things which you have to do when you start try to onboard into cloud. um, when you're building your data stack, you should move your projects one after the other into your portfolio. If you try to land everything all together, nothing gets done, which means, like, again, it goes back to the previous one. Proper planning has to be in place while you start, like, strategize, and while you emphasize on, like, how this has to be done in a proper manner. And then following a strict guidelines, or even project management wise, like, migrating or starting your projects one after the other. Move the like move the or start the projects. If there are, like, sales dependent data sets, make sure you target that, do a pilot POC, show success, and then onboard other projects in parallel, or sequentially, depending upon your recipe. Next, choose the right technologies, right? I will stop there, but, like, choose the right technology, right tools which can scale, and you have to plan ahead as well. If you don't do, like, proper planning, if you don't choose the right tool, if you don't follow a proper guideline of, like, taking one step at a time, these are, like, some critical things which would let you into the failure side of the things really quickly. So, you may not be able to take the things forward as you see, as you would expect the projects to surface. Back to you, Avinash.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. A good plan is definitely half done, but I
Yes.
think there is this whole thing also about showing a quick win, making the executives that are out that you have believe that yes, this project can be successful. You cannot have a big bang of a 4.5 year project to say, oh, after 5 years, I'm going to show you what this is going to look like. So I think those things never fly. So you're absolutely spot on. Like show a quick win in a quarter so that people are excited about what you are building, and then you are able to get more things done more easily.
Right.
Um, Great. There's this question about um, how does Nexla make it possible to generate connectors on the fly? And I can take this, Jobin. Uh, the key part of this is our investment in active metadata and learning from metadata as it comes out of various systems. What we have been able to do is we're not only able to generate connectors, we are also able to model this data in one shot. And a lot of people now call this as data products. This is a relatively new terminology. We have been doing data products before these things were called data products. What our tech is primarily built upon this ability to take a byte stream of data and being able to use the metadata to analyze what does this look like. And having that abstraction of data product in between is what enables us to build bidirectional connectors, is what enables us to generate connectors, is what enables us to do these things really, really fast.
Yeah, I remember when AlloyDB, as a service, came out. You were one of the, very few partners who I initially collaborated to create a connector for AlloyDB, and, like, you were the first ones to get that published really quickly, in a productionized manner. Yeah, I remember that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it took us less than 24 hours to do that. So that's the speed at which some of these connectors can be generated in Nexla.
Right.
Uh, Great. Uh, Jobin, there is one other question that you can probably talk a little bit about. It's around, do you see customers lifting and shifting their on-premise integration solutions into the cloud, or how are they typically doing this from your lens?
Um, yeah, I mean, the answer is a little little tricky, because, unfortunately, it depends upon how customer use case, and they measure their success, right? For example, if the customer is moving to cloud and adopting BigQuery instead of their outdated data warehouse and ecosystem around it on premises, uh, you know, uh, they have multiple choices. One, they can do employ a hybrid architecture for some time. They can, keep the existing warehouse alive, and then while they move, they can, like, while they're taking the baby steps, they can be in an intermediate hybrid phase where they can still continue to run the business while they move to cloud and modernize their platform. or like it could be like plug the sorry, pull the plug on the existing one, move into your BigQuery simultaneously, or like any solution simultaneously, which is like around it, and then moving really easily quickly. But there will also be situations where customers would be looking at like options, like looking at a third party who would help them with both the options while they're migrating, bringing the data. Like, it doesn't mean that when their data infrastructure moves to BigQuery or Google Cloud, existing systems, third party systems, partner systems which are residing outside, they cannot be like simply or the data cannot be simply made available. This is where, like, choosing the right tools come into the picture, like Nexla. Like, Nexla can connect to different sets of sources, which can help them bring the data as they were doing for their legacy system on premises into BigQuery as well. So we see a mix of all these things, but it is like not necessarily applicable to how do I say this, like new generation born in cloud applications. That would be a little different scenario, because if it's a native customer, then they won't have the baggage of the legacy system on-prem migration into cloud. But most of these cases, like some customers will have the hybrid approach. Some customers may not need anything because they don't have the baggage of legacy systems. Some customers, it will take them time. But of course, like in the middle, a solution which can flexibly adapt, and which is robust, would help solve that issues.
I know this is architect's favorite answer. It depends. Uh,
Right.
on that note, I think we're completely out of time here. Um, Jobin, thanks for joining us. Thanks everybody for joining us as well. This was a great session. If you're interested in learning more about Nexla, please head out to our website, reach out to the email on the screen. We'll be more than happy to show you around. Jobin, thanks for doing this. It's always to do these. It's always a pleasure to do these with you. Um, and if anybody is interested in the next Gen AI webinar, please follow us on LinkedIn. We'll be talking about that on our LinkedIn page, and hoping that you can join us for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.